Hey everybody, it's Emily from Life Sew Savory, and today I'm going to do a fun refashion, which you know that I love to do, and we're going to turn long leggings that have been well used all year and turn them into fun summer shorts. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to refashion your long leggings into shorts, and depending on what kind of sewing machine you have and other equipment, this will give you some ideas on how to do that. So let me go ahead and get my shares done and we will get started. So I'd love to hear how your Wednesday is going and what you're up to. I still have kids in school. They are all finished tomorrow, and my oldest only had to go in for one final this morning, so he's actually around this afternoon. But we are finished with school tomorrow, and we're very excited. Although the end of the year always comes so fast, I can't even hardly believe it. So that is what we're up to. Yesterday I posted a really cute idea for end of the year teacher gifts. If you didn't see that, you should check it out. And all right, so let me do my shares here and we will get started. So if you didn't catch me at the very beginning, I had mentioned, and you can see in the description of this video, we're going to be refashioning leggings that my daughter has worn all year, all winter, into shorts. Now, if you had another younger child that was coming up and there weren't holes in the knees, I probably wouldn't cut my leggings off. I probably would put them in a box and save them for my next child. But since I only have one girl and leggings are a dime a dozen, and these have been sewn actually just for her. They are tall and very thin, so sometimes it's hard to pass those on to other people. I'm gonna cut them off, even though they don't, maybe one of them has holes in it. They don't all have holes. So I have 3 pairs of leggings, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can, after you've cut them off, that you can finish the ends. And this will just give you some different ideas that you can use to finish leggings that you might be cutting off. And if they have holes in them, then of course I'm all about chopping off and reusing them for summer shorts. I've also, if you don't have leggings that you want to cut off, I've also included in the description of this video a link to my free short legging pattern. So if you want to just sew short leggings and not cut off what you have, then you can go ahead and check that out. So I know I'm really into my stripes today. So one of the teachers at my kids' school makes these clay earrings, and they're really cute. So the top was yellow, so I was channeling that in matching with my the rest of my outfit. And I put on a summer dress, and then it's not nearly as warm as I was thinking it would be out. So I'm a little bit cold, so I might have to change or put leggings on before we go out tonight. So my son has a band concert. My middle son has a band concert tonight. It was supposed to be 2 weeks ago, but some of the kids in the band were home on quarantine, a good chunk of them, so they rescheduled it, and now it's tonight, which is the day before school finishes. It feels kind of like we are just ready to be done, and I'm not really wanting to go to a band concert, but once I get there, it will be great to see them play, and they've been working hard all year. So I know it will be a good thing. It's just a matter of getting there and getting myself inspired. So anyway, might have to change though out of this dress if I'm freezing. So, okay, so I'm almost finished doing my shares. We are going to be refashioning long leggings into shorts. You're going to love this. And if you don't have leggings to refashion, then you can go ahead, and you want knit shorts, go ahead and grab my free pattern and you can just sew some of your own short leggings there. Okay, so let me move this down here. And cut off the leggings. So I have 3 pairs, 2 with skirts on them and one without. So I figured these would be cute summer shorts, or yeah. So this one has like a stain on it, so definitely ready to cut that out. So there's those pair. Apparently these are all inside out, sorry. And this one we had already cut, they'd already had holes in them, and I had patched the knees, but I figured this fabric would be still really cute for a summer skirt with the leggings underneath. And then here's a pair of leggings that are really way too short, okay? So we are going to cut all these off. Now, I make these pretty short because my daughter just wears these under her dresses and skirts, and we don't actually wear these as shorts. So you can decide the length that you want to cut them depending on the use for them. But I'm just gonna make about, let's see, there's the inseam, and maybe I'll do about 4 inches. And depending if you're gonna hem or not hem, you would want to make sure you add the seam allowance for the hem as well. So you can just cut these off. It's knit fabric, it won't fray. You could just go and wear these. But I am going to show you 3 different ways to hem and finish these if you wanna do that. Okay, now this one, I wanna make sure that the shorts are shorter than the skirt. So we're gonna go ahead and cut sort of right on the edge of the skirt. And then when we turn it up and hem it, it will be shorter. Okay, so chop, chop. And then the last one, let's see, where is the back here? Okay, the last one, we'll do the same. Flip up the skirt, cut just above. If you want your shorts to be longer than your skirt, of course, you can do that. I'm just choosing to make them shorter, but that's just personal preference. So make sure you just decide how long you want them before you start cutting. Okay, so now we have 3 pairs of cut off leggings, and we are going to move over and sew them 3 different ways on the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm going to sew them on a couple of different machines just to demonstrate for you that you don't have to do it on a cover stitch. I will sew one of them using my cover stitch machine, but the other 2 we are going to sew on a regular sewing machine using a couple of different methods. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is change out my thread because I have blue thread in here. And the first method we're going to use is just a zigzag stitch. So very basic, very easy. And we'll start, did I unplug this? We'll start simple. Oh, I did. And we'll work up to the more difficult. Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I will thread this through. And I'm using a light yellow because the leggings that I'm sewing are yellow. Make sure you have a knit needle, which I think I do, in your sewing machine. I was sewing knits last, so we'll assume that I do have that. And like I said, the first thing we're gonna do is just fold under and zigzag. So sometimes I like to fold it back, and usually I'll do about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch fold. And I'm going to just put a couple of clips in to hold everything in place. And then we will zigzag around. I'm going to be stitching on the right side of the fabric, and so this is helpful to keep things in place on the wrong side of the fabric. All right, I'm going to start on the inseam, and we're going to set it to a just normal zigzag stitch, which is a stretchy stitch. You need to make sure you have a stretchy stitch when you're hemming your leggings because they are knit. And I know my daughter's going to be pulling these on and off all summer long and not really taking care to make sure that that she's being careful. So I want to make sure this is a nice, strong hem. If I was going to have leggings that you could see the hem, now this one, the skirt should cover it up. The zigzag is my least favorite option, just by looks. It's actually just as strong and actually a really great hem for knit fabric, but the look of it to me is not quite as nice as the other options that I'm going to show you. So this one is covered with a skirt. I'm not super worried about it being shown, but that's just my personal preference, is that the zigzag is not my favorite. Looks-wise. It's a great seam. And I use it a lot when it's not seam, like on, on inside seams and construction seams. So there's the zigzag, super stretchy, perfect for these leggings. So let's do the other one with the same method. And then can anyone guess what my next hemming method is going to be? It's another one of my favorite techniques for sewing and hemming knit fabric. Any guesses on what you think I might do to hem the next pair of leggings? We'll take guesses while I sew this leg. Oh, a serger would finish the bottom, but it won't really hem it. So you could just have a finished serger edge and leave that on the bottom of your shorts. That is not what I was planning to do, and although the serger definitely, why won't this stay threaded? The serger definitely is a favorite of mine, so good guess. Oh, there's another serger. We're not using the serger today. I know it's a shocker since that's my favorite. A lettuce hem. Oh, that might be cute on the bottom of shorts, but no, that's not what's next. It's really just a way to make a basic stitch. Oh, I saw it go by. So the twin needle. So the next one I'm going to demonstrate is using a twin needle for hemming, which creates the look of a cover stitch, meaning that it has double straight stitches, but actually it's a stretchy stitch because the bobbin has stretched thread in it and goes in a zigzag pattern, which gives the stitches some pull when you're stretching on them. So that will be the next thing we will demonstrate. You can see I already got my second spool of thread out and ready to go. Okay, now one thing you want to be careful of when you're sewing these hems is that you're not stretching the fabric as it's going through the needle. So I'm trying not to pull or tug as it's going through because we really do want it to try and just stay as flat as possible. So here's the skirt. And then here's my newly hemmed shorts underneath. Okay, so hopefully those will work on her and be a great little summer play skirt that she can wear. All right, so twin needle. The first thing you need is, of course, a twin needle. And let me just show you. They come in two basic widths. There might be more than that, but this is what I'm aware of. So it has one needle top, and then we have the wide one and the narrow one. Personally, I have trouble getting the wide one to sew without tunneling, and tunneling means it pulls the fabric into kind of a tunnel and it doesn't really lay very flat. So I almost always use the narrower version of the double needle, and I still love the results. So we need to do a couple things to prepare for this one. So the first thing we're going to do is change the needle from the single to the double. Get that flat spot going to the back. Okay. And then I need to rethread, and I like to thread both of the threads through at the same time. So I'm going to unthread the one that I already had threaded and then grab these together and thread them through together. Why is that not pulling off very nicely? Okay, so I just like to thread them through the top part here as one. This is definitely not going to work. Maybe hopefully that will solve it. And then when you get down to the needle, you will separate the two and thread each of them through one of the needles. I try to make sure it's not really twisted, but if there's a little twist in it, I haven't found that makes any sort of difference. So try to untwist it, but don't worry too much about it. Okay, now the other thing we need to do to prepare for the twin needle is put a stretch thread in the bobbin. So my favorite stretch thread in the bobbin for sewing with the twin needle is woolly nylon or bulky nylon. It's called either one of those depending on where you're buying it and where you live. I thought I had one already pre-threaded, but I'm not seeing it. Okay, so you'll get a free little tutorial here on threading a bulky nylon bobbin. Sorry, I was just looking up to see if I had a small spool of it. So I can also show you what it looks like. Oh, this one's actually called textured nylon. Maybe we'll use the orange. Okay, so this one is serger thread called textured nylon. But when you open it up, I'm going to show you how I can never get these open. And then of course one time I did use scissors, and that was a huge mistake because I cut like 20 rows of thread, which was terrible, right? I just want to show you the difference in how this looks different than regular thread. It has a different texture to it. It's a really loose, okay, so here's the thread. It's pretty thick if you look at it compared to regular piece of thread, but it's also fibrous. So see the end and how many sort of different fibers it has. This allows it to have a little bit of stretch and give, and it's a really soft thread as well. So now the way that I put this bulky nylon or woolly nylon on to my bobbin thread is I want it to be a looser winding job. I do not want it super, super tight because then it doesn't have any stretch. So hopefully I can do this. But I like to do the tension with my fingers rather than with the tension disc on the machine, and that will wind it a little bit more loosely onto the bobbin. The problem with this one is I have to push my, I think I did push my foot rather than Yeah, I have to push start. So I'm gonna slow it down a little bit and then push start. Ah, stop, stop. So of course, you guys see me make a mess here. All right, so it's all, this is why it's hard for me to push the button and hold the thread. Okay, let's try again. Put this on here. Maybe I will hand wind a few rounds and see if that will help hold it in place. Okay, so now I'm using my fingers for the tension rather than the tension discs, and again we're creating a looser wound bobbin. It's not as tight as a normal bobbin would be because we want it to be nice and loose as it sews the zigzag bottom of our twin needle. So there you go. Also got to see me wind my bobbin. Now I wish I had white, but I'm not sure where it is and I didn't want to dig around and look for it. So we're going to use this orange and place it in the bobbin just like normal. Okay, and we have two needles or two threaded needles coming down in our machine. And then once again, I'm going to just put a couple of clips in my legging hem to hold things in place. And then we'll sew. This is another stitch that we sew from the right side of the fabric. Okay. All right, so I'm going to again start on that inseam line, and with a twin needle you do want to make sure that you back stitch. You can straight stitch or zigzag with your twin needle, both will work, and many machines will have a button to push if you're using a twin needle. I'm not even sure what the button does because sometimes I've forgotten to push it and it still seems to sew fine, but I'm going to just push it for today. And I've got my straight stitch, and I'm going to lengthen the straight stitch length to a 3 instead of a 2.5, just to give us a little bit longer stitch. And we're going to start sewing. We're going to back stitch, and then we're going to continue sewing along the hem of the fabric. It appears like it's stuck. So awesome. Yeah, it's like down into the plate. Well, let me test this on a scrap of fabric before I try to sew my leggings again. Let's see what it's doing here. It seemed like it wasn't really moving, so I might need to rethread something. And this, make sure that can come off. Oh. Of course, now it's sewing just fine, right? Okay, so here's the twin needle stitch on the green leggings. You can actually see it quite nicely. It's nice and stretchy, and on the back you can see that the zigzag, the bobbin slightly zigzags. Okay, so let's try again. Maybe I won't try going over the seam for the very beginning. Okay, and check. Make sure my thread tension is okay. You don't want it too tight, then your stitches will be really tight and they might break. So we want to keep everything nice and loose and stretchy using this method. So if you don't have a cover stitch, this is obviously my preferred knit hemming method because the end results are very similar to a cover stitch, and the look is extremely professional looking for an easy finish just done on your sewing machine. So, all right, so here's the yellow. It's still stretchy, and the back has that zigzag look. Okay, so that's one. Let's sew the other leg. And we'll just go around this one. And then the third way that I am going to do it is with the cover stitch, and show you using that method as well. So I still have some variegated thread on the cover stitch machine, so we'll probably just leave that on there. Oh, I know where my white nylon stretch thread is. It's on the cover stitch. I see it over there. So I should have used that for the bobbin. All right, so here's the other hem, nice and stretchy. And I wouldn't use a double needle for sewing construction seams with knit fabric, but I would use it for all top stitching necklines and hemming all sleeves and bottoms and cuffs. All right, so there is this hem on a cute summer skirt. And then let's bring this a little bit over here so you can get a little bit closer and see how the cover stitch works. So let's turn this off, move that one over, get rid of some of these things sitting around. Okay, so the cover stitch can have, this one can have 2 or 3 needles. I have 2 needles on it in the narrow setting, meaning they won't be super wide. They'll kind of be like what we just did. And then this can have 1 or 2 loopers. The top looper is simply decorative, but looks cool for sports and athletic wear. And I do not have that on right now. Okay, so we're just going to do the bottom looper, and it will have 2 needles, and it will look very much like what we just did, but this will be an even stronger hem. Occasionally, even with my double needle still, I will get seams popping, but this is that's sort of a, not copycat, but it's a stretch stitch, but maybe a lower grade stretch stitch, whereas this is the true sort of strong stretch stitch version. Okay. Looks like we need to slide this thread back. Maybe this one's not threaded. I can't remember the last time I sewed this, if it was behaving or not. You all know that my cover stitch doesn't always behave. As much as I try and convince it to always be a good girl, she just isn't always. So let's hope that we can sew this fairly drama-free. All right, so I'm again going to start on that inside leg seam and lift the presser foot, slide my fabric underneath, close, lower the presser foot, make sure my fabric's all lined up, and get stitching. All right, looks like it's sewing nicely along here. Hopefully it continues. So I was supposed to do a Facebook Live on the Brother Sews page yesterday, but it got rescheduled to Friday. So if you want to see Angela and I working and sewing together, we are going to be doing a show on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you have some time Friday afternoon, make sure you check that out. I'm going to be demonstrating the difference between knit bindings and knit bands. So I'll be sewing dress necklines both ways and kind of show you the two different ways that you can finish those knit necklines. So I feel like I can always use a refresher on those, and I hope you'll enjoy it as well. So I know many of you have known, and I sewed, was it last week I made that baby romper, but I'm starting the matching outfits for the cousins on my side of the family, and one of the pieces is a dress. So I have to sew several of them, so I thought I'd use it as a demonstration piece. So there is the stretchy hem, and there's the looper on the back. Okay, so it looks great and works great, and there's one side. All right, let's do the other one, and then we'll take one final look at all of our cool knit hems. And then I think it might be time for a cup of coffee. I feel tired. Oh, one of the threads broke. That's why I always have to be checking. So let's rethread this. Maybe they're both out. They both out? No. But why is that one stuck? So I'm gonna cut this one. All right, let's see. Hopefully we can rethread both of these. I know you just love watching me thread my machine over and over again, right? So exciting. And of course, no needle threader on this one, so I actually have to use my eyeballs. All right. Whew, looks good. I'm just gonna sew over the stitches I did before. You could pick them out, but I don't care enough to do that. And I only sewed about 1 inch, so I'm gonna sew back over that same 1 inch and then continue on. So you can sew a single stitch with the cover stitch, and it just ends up like a chain stitch, which can be useful for some different circumstances, but I didn't want a single needle stitch here for the bottom of my leggings. So that's why I chose to stop and rethread. And now it's sewing around just fine with my 2 threads. All right, so when I get back around, I like to trim off the needle threads. And then you want to overlap your stitches by at least 1 inch. And then you lift your needle, lift the presser foot, and go ahead and grab those 2 needle threads and pull them out a couple inches. And this allows you to pull the fabric away from the needles. And then we just chain off. And from that chain off, then there are loops on the back of the fabric, and we can pull the needle threads through from the back of the fabric. Oh, did I only get one of them? Maybe I didn't grab both of them. Should be able to, on the other side I did, pull those through. I need a pin. I need a pin. See if I can grab this other needle thread. Now, the book that came with this, with the cover stitch, just says to overlap your stitches. It doesn't say anything about tying off your threads on the back, but I always do. I feel like, one, a little extra reinforcement can't hurt. And yeah, so that's why I like to pull the threads to the back. Okay, whew, I got it. So once you have all the threads to the back, you should have 3 2 needles and a looper, and I just go ahead and tie them off with a square knot, and then can cut those, and I don't really have fraying problems once you do that. And then you have your nice stretch stitch and the looper on the back. So here are just the plain shorts hemmed on there. And actually I did the cover stitch, the wide cover stitch, when I sewed on this waistband. So you can see the wider version there. So there we go, some fun ways to refashion long leggings into summer shorts and hopefully get more use and wear out of the same garments, which I love to just keep reusing them, especially when they were made out of such fun fabrics here. Now we can wear them for another season. So, and then, you know, sometimes I will, if these are still in good shape, I might hand on the skirts to someone else for the next year. But there you go. Fun way to make summer skirts and leggings out of your winter leggings. And I hope you can use this and it inspired you to keep wearing and using some of the clothes that your kids have been wearing all winter long. So too short leggings or holes in the knees, doesn't matter when you cut them off for short. So as long as around the waist still works, then you're good to go. So I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. I will see you next week with another fun sewing tutorial. We might be sewing 4th of July clothing, since that's what I will need to be working on over these next couple weeks, but we will be sewing that, and I hope you'll join me. So we'll see you next week. Remember to mark your calendars for Friday at 2 Eastern if you want to join us on the Brother Sews Facebook page. Thank you. Bye.